I'll never forget the moment the sommelier poured the wine and Vincent lifted his glass, unaware of what was waiting for him at the bottom. He smiled at her Nora, the woman who wasn't me with that effortless charm I'd seen 1,000 times. But when the ruby-red wine tilted just enough for the message to appear, his entire body stiffened. "Here's to your last lie. Drink up, it's over." His expression shattered. A flicker of confusion gave way to full-blown panic as he lowered the glass and scanned the room. His lips parted, but no sound came out. The mask cracked, and I saw the man underneath cornered, guilty, exposed. If betrayal had a flavor, I imagine it tasted like that first sip. And me. I didn't cry, I didn't scream. I just watched from the shadows while everything he built began to crumble, one drop at a time. Not all revenge is loud. Sometimes, it's just precise. Subscribe if you believe quiet justice hits the hardest. Stick around. You'll want to hear how this ends. Juliet Rains hadn't planned to destroy her husband in public. At least, not originally. It started with an email. She had just returned from her third black coffee, half listening to a Slack thread spiral into chaos, when the subject line lit up her inbox. "Confirmed suite for Mr. Vincent Reed, Venetia Lounge Penthouse. 2 guests." It had been forwarded automatically by Vincent's assistant, one of those accidental auto-forwards people don't even realize they've sent. Juliet stared at the screen, blinking. Then she read it again. And again. She wasn't supposed to be the second guest. The timestamp showed the reservation had been made 2 days ago. Dinner at 8:00. Rooftop suite by 9:30. Private driver arranged. Room service details confirmed. Her husband had even gone through the trouble of pre-selecting a bottle of wine. The note on the order read, "Something bold, something red. She likes a bit of drama." Juliet felt something slow and cold bloom beneath her ribs. She hadn't seen Vincent that morning. He'd already left the apartment before sunrise, claiming he had an early meeting with a crypto startup based in Berlin. She remembered the way he kissed her forehead, absent-minded. Routine. That kiss felt different now, like a goodbye wrapped in a lie. Juliet didn't panic. She didn't call him. She didn't write back. Instead, she clicked open her calendar and cleared her afternoon. Juliet had spent a decade building a reputation as one of the sharpest strategic minds in the fintech world. She was calm under pressure, ruthless in negotiation, and known for anticipating problems 3 moves ahead. But in this moment, staring at a digital confirmation of her husband's betrayal, all that training funneled into one crystal-clear thought. If he's planning this carefully, so will I. She slid her chair back, stood, and walked out of the Aurora office without a word to anyone. The elevator ride down from the 36th floor felt like descending into something, maybe grief, maybe war. She wasn't sure yet. Outside, Manhattan was spring cool and loud. Juliet didn't even feel the wind. Her phone buzzed in her coat pocket. "Cass." Juliet answered without hello. "You ever hear of Venetia Lounge?" "Cass." Her college roommate turned venture advisor. Exhaled. "Don't tell me Vincent's name just popped up there." Juliet didn't say a word. That was answer enough. "I saw his name in the booking system 2 days ago," Cass said quickly. "I wasn't sure it was him. It's a private registry. But Venetia's not the kind of place a married man reserves without telling his wife." "Are you okay?" Juliet let out a breath. "Not yet. But I will be." She hung up before Cass could offer sympathy. She didn't want comfort. She wanted clarity. And she was going to get it. At 3:42 p.m., she walked into Venetia Lounge not through the front entrance, but through the private service elevator used for VIP setups and event clients. Juliet had planned a high-profile fundraising gala there last fall. She still had the director's cell number. By 4:05, she had booked the suite directly above Vincent's. By 4:20, she had reviewed the room's camera angles. By 4:50, she had met with the sommelier. The plan formed quickly. Not vengeful, not theatrical, precise. She would wait, watch, and when the moment was right, she would deliver the message that Vincent Reed would never forget. Just one sentence, etched at the bottom of his wine glass. The hardest part wasn't booking the suite. It was keeping her hands steady when the sommelier asked, "And would you like to leave a note for the recipient?" Juliet paused only a second before replying, "No note, just the custom glass." He gave a knowing smile, the kind service workers reserved for rich people's dramas, and showed her the sample. Clear crystal, polished bottom, engraving visible only once the glass was emptied. She traced the base with her finger and nodded. "This is perfect. Deliver it exactly when he orders the wine. Do not say it's from anyone. Don't react. Even if he does." "Yes, ma'am." By then, she'd already memorized every detail of the suite Vincent had booked. The layout, the camera placements, the soundproofing or lack of it, the table where he'd sit. From the suite above, she would have a clear view through the discreet ceiling camera feed the staff used for VIP services. It was meant to protect guests. Tonight, it would do something else entirely. She left the lounge at 5:30 p.m. sharp and crossed the street to a cafe with frosted windows. She ordered nothing, just connected to Wi-Fi, opened her encrypted drive, and uploaded the room map. Then she texted the only person who could help her with what came next. "Juliet, I need a favor, the quiet kind." Luca Mori responded within a minute. "Luca, you want recon or access?" "Juliet, access. To their system. One suite, one camera. Tonight only." "Luca, you're lucky I like poetic justice. Send me the specs." He didn't ask questions. That was why she trusted him. While others in their circle had moved on to headlines and hustle, Luca had vanished underground, white hat hacking, cybersecurity consulting, and occasionally, ethically gray favors for old friends. By 6:15, Juliet had everything she needed. Camera feed on her private tablet, audio input ready, and the final touch, the sentence she wanted engraved. She typed it, slow and deliberate, into the online submission form. "Here's to your last lie. Drink up, it's over." A message like that didn't need anger, just clarity. At 6:47 p.m., she checked in quietly at her suite above Vincent's. She didn't order room service, didn't turn on the lights. Instead, she set her tablet on the desk, opened the camera feed, and watched the room below, now prepped for two. Rose petals, a low table set for tapas, one candle, one decanter. Juliet sat down and removed her heels. She felt nothing, not grief, not jealousy, just the calm before something inevitable. At 7:58 p.m., she saw him arrive. Vincent Reed entered the room wearing the navy blazer she'd gifted him on their 5th anniversary. He adjusted his cuffs, glanced once towards the hallway, then checked his watch. Juliet didn't blink. At 8:01, Nora walked in. Blonde, slim, younger by at least 10 years. She kissed his cheek like they'd done this before. Juliet watched as Vincent pulled out her chair, ordered the wine, and when the sommelier returned with the bottle, Juliet leaned forward, watching his hands deliver the custom glass with steady precision. Vincent swirled the wine, took a sip, then paused. His eyes dropped to the bottom of the glass. His face stilled, then shifted. He blinked, brought the glass up to the light again, read the words. Again, Juliet could see it all, the confusion, the dawning horror, the desperate glance towards the window. She stayed behind the curtain. She let him feel every second of not knowing where she was. Nora asked something. He didn't answer, just stood up so suddenly the candle nearly tipped. He started toward the hallway. Juliet reached for her phone and dialed Cass. "Let him find nothing," she said. "Consider it done," Cass replied. "I told the front desk no one named Juliet checked in tonight." Juliet smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She wasn't ready to be seen. Not yet. Juliet didn't sleep that night. Not because she was angry. Anger would have been easier. What she felt instead was control. Focus. A slow-burn curiosity that kept her awake as the camera feed looped Vincent pacing the suite below, checking the hallway, checking his phone, and ultimately sitting alone, shoulders stiff, next to a woman who had begun to realize she'd been dragged into something she didn't understand. By morning, the rose petals were gone, the room was cleared, and Juliet was already back in her own apartment. Vincent still hadn't texted, not a single word. That told her everything. He was regrouping, calculating. So was she. She opened a new encrypted folder and labeled it Operation Ashfall. She copied the camera recording into it, then called Luca. He picked up on the first ring. I figured you'd want more than just a video souvenir. I need a footprint, Juliet said. Digital. Financial. Something I can show people who matter. Already working on it, Luca replied. Your boy's been sloppy. Juliet leaned back in her chair. How sloppy? Enough that he left breadcrumbs through 3 shell companies and a dummy crypto wallet. Luca paused. Want to guess who the wallet links back to? Juliet didn't need to. Nora. Bingo. He's routing funds through her startup's infrastructure. On paper, it looks like a third-party investment, but dig 2 layers deeper. And it's a classic insider deal, probably prepping to leverage her position to buy controlling shares in something big. Juliet went quiet. Then Aurora. Could be. I'd bet on it, especially with how close you are to a Series D round. Juliet's fingers curled around the edge of the desk. How long do you need? Give me until tonight. I'll pull everything. True to his word. By 10:00 p.m., Luca had sent over a compressed folder titled Ghost Ledger. It included transaction histories, hidden Slack messages, voice memos from Vincent's side phone, and screenshots of conversations between him and Nora, some professional, some deeply personal, all threaded with arrogance. He had told her Juliet was distant, career-obsessed, emotionally unavailable. He had said he and Juliet were only married on paper. He had promised her more, power, equity, a future. Juliet read every word. She didn't cry. She saved them all. Then she did what she hadn't done in years. She picked up a paintbrush. Colors calmed her more than whiskey or sleep ever could. She painted until the sky outside turned from deep blue to rusted violet. And when she was finished, she stared at the canvas, a silhouette of a house burning in the distance, but with the woman walking away from it calmly, glowing in the light. The next morning, she walked into the Aurora boardroom with a USB drive and a calm, pleasant smile. Juliet, her CEO greeted. You're early. I just like to be prepared, she said, and she was. Because while Vincent was planning to steal the future of the company she helped build, Juliet was building the case that would ruin his. Nora didn't look surprised when Juliet walked into the hotel bar. She looked tired. There was no dramatic gasp, no flinching, just a quiet exhale as she set down her glass of Chardonnay and nodded towards the empty seat across from her. I was wondering if you'd show up, Nora said. Juliet sat, folding her coat neatly before resting her hands on the table. And I was wondering if you'd stay. Nora hesitated. I almost didn't. But after what happened last night... You saw the glass, Juliet said flatly. I saw the man beside it. Nora's voice lowered. He turned pale. He looked like he'd seen a ghost. Juliet tilted her head. He did, for a moment. Neither of them spoke. The clink of cutlery and low jazz music filled the quiet space between their words. Then Juliet pulled a small tablet from her bag, placed it on the table, and tapped play. The screen lit up with a transaction log, Vincent's name, Nora's startup, wallet addresses, transfers, the shell companies connecting them all. Nora leaned in, eyes narrowing. What is this? Proof, Juliet replied, that he's been using you. Nora blinked. No, that's not possible. He said it was private capital. Juliet tapped again. The screen shifted to a Slack thread. Vincent's messages to his finance team, planning documents, and a memo titled Aurora Leverage Strategy. She turned the tablet to face Nora directly. He was going to use your position, your back-end access to your own company to help him gain control over mine. Nora's mouth parted, but no sound came. She stared at the screen like it had betrayed her. Juliet let the silence stretch. I thought, Nora began, then stopped herself. Her voice broke slightly. I thought he loved me. Juliet didn't offer pity. He told you I was cold, distant, that we were done. Nora nodded. He lied to both of us, Juliet said. But the difference is I know how to end it. She slid a business card across the table. Her private number was handwritten on the back. If you want to be on the right side of this, I suggest you forward everything you have. Emails, notes, access logs, all of it. Nora didn't pick up the card. Not yet. Juliet stood. I'm not here to fight over a man. Nora, I'm here to dismantle the structure he built on our backs. She turned and walked away, not looking back. But as she stepped through the revolving door and into the sharp chill of evening, her phone vibrated once. A text from an unknown number. I'm in. You'll have everything by tonight. Juliet let the message sit on her screen a moment. Then she deleted it. She didn't need promises. She needed proof, and now she had it. Vincent Reed loved boardrooms the way some men loved battlefields. He had a ritual. Crisp white shirt, navy tie, Rolex aligned, cufflinks centered. When he felt in control, he smiled differently, slower, measured, as if the world had already agreed with whatever pitch he was about to make. On Thursday morning, he smiled just like that. He stood in front of a sleek conference table on the 47th floor of Nexus Harbor's private suite. The windows framed the Manhattan skyline. Sun gleaming off the river. Everything was prepared, folders aligned, slides loaded, breakfast catering untouched. He was ready. The meeting, according to him, was a strategic pitch to selected investors. He had told the coordinator to market private. He had even asked to keep the room lean. And it was at first. 2 VCs, 1 legal advisor, his junior partner, and, of course, himself. He began with charm. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for making time today. I believe what I'm about to show you isn't just an opportunity, it's a pivot point. Click. Slide 1, Camden Metrics logo. Click. Projected returns, market advantages, AI tie-ins, blockchain partnerships. Click. And with the upcoming merger, we'll have proprietary access to predictive datasets giving us a 6 to 12-month edge over competitors. He smiled again. Smooth. Crisp. The room nodded. The numbers made sense. Then the elevator chimed. Everyone turned. Juliet walked in. Black suit. No jewelry, no bag, just a tablet under her arm, and the kind of silence that filled a room before a storm broke. Vincent blinked. What, Juliet? He tried to laugh. I didn't know you were. I'm presenting next, she said calmly. His face dropped. Presenting what? She took the seat at the end of the table. Not beside him. Opposite him. One of the VCs raised an eyebrow. You two are... My wife, Vincent muttered. Soon to be his ex, Juliet corrected, placing her tablet on the table. There was a pause. She tapped once. The large screen behind Vincent flickered. His slides vanished. In their place appeared a log of transactions. Company names, wallet IDs, documented movement of data across internal servers, screenshots of Slack messages. And then, voice recordings. Juliet didn't raise her voice. She didn't need to. As a partner at Aurora AI and a direct shareholder in Nexus Harbor Ventures, I feel it's necessary to inform you of material conflicts in Vincent's recent acquisition efforts. Vincent's jaw clenched. Juliet. I'm not finished. The room went still. She continued. These documents detail his unauthorized access to proprietary forecasting models, obtained through undeclared relationships with an employee of Camden Metrics. That same employee, Nora Loring, was also paid through shell accounts for access to data that positioned Camden ahead of Aurora in 3 parallel deals. She clicked again. Another page loaded. An internal memo. Title suppressing Aurora valuation. Internal strategy only. The words burned on the screen. Vincent's face drained of color. Furthermore, Juliet said, we have evidence of personal expenditures, including accommodations, gifts, and travel all disguised as consulting expenses, tied directly to Nora's involvement. She didn't need to look at him. I've already submitted a full dossier to Nexus Harbor's compliance department. As of 7 Sorod this morning, the SEC has been notified. Vincent stood abruptly. This is a personal attack. She's weaponizing our marriage. One of the investors turned to him. Did you or did you not disclose this relationship? That's irrelevant. It's fraud if you didn't, Vincent stammered. But the momentum had already shifted. They weren't looking at him anymore. They were looking at Juliet. She stood. One more thing, she said. She pulled out a single sheet of paper. Her divorce petition. She placed it on the table in front of him. You'll be receiving a copy officially by noon. You may want to check with your attorney before then. He didn't speak, just stared down at the paper as if it had exploded in his hands. Juliet turned, nodded to the room, and walked toward the door. No drama, no closing statement. Just silence. And power. The news broke within 24 hours. Nexus venture partner under SEC scrutiny for data manipulation and undisclosed conflict of interest. Aurora AI confirms internal breach linked to Camden Metrics acquisition. Fintech star Vincent Reed falls from grace amid espionage allegations. Juliet didn't read the articles. Cass sent her headlines. Luca sent links. Harper forwarded the official filing confirmations. But Juliet didn't open any of them. Not out of fear, not even out of satisfaction. She was just done by Saturday morning. Vincent had moved out of their penthouse, the marble countertops he once bragged about, the wine fridge stocked for show, the oversized mirrors he liked to glance at while adjusting his cufflinks. He left it all behind. No notes, no keys. Juliet found a single tie still hanging in the closet. She didn't touch it. Instead, she walked into the bathroom, turned on the shower, and sat on the cold tiles fully clothed, letting the water wash over her until her breathing slowed. It wasn't grief. Not exactly. It was the weight of everything she had carried for months without permission to feel it. The suspicion, the pretending, the gathering of evidence while forcing herself to smile through investor calls, the long nights replaying conversations, wondering which ones had been real. And now, with the war behind her, the silence was louder than ever. She dried herself slowly, changed into fresh clothes, and opened the window wide. Cold spring air rushed in, clearing out the stale tension of a home that had stopped feeling like home long ago. The knock came just after noon. Harper? She stepped in without her usual brightness. A soft, gray coat, hair in a loose bun, no clipboard, no tablet. Just 2 coffees and a brown paper bag of bagels. Juliet didn't speak, just took 1 cup and sat beside her on the couch. They ate in silence. Then Harper leaned back and said, "You know you don't have to be strong now." "Right." Juliet stared into her cup. "I don't think I know how to be anything else." Harper reached into her bag and pulled out a manila folder. "This is everything finalized. The divorce, the asset separation, You'll retain your Aurora shares and half of Nexus Harbor's Class B stock, minus his penalties. Juliet didn't open it. You can sign it next week, Harper said quietly. Juliet nodded. After Harper left, Juliet turned off her phone for the first time in months. No work, no messages, no Cass, no Luca, no reminders that she had anything to respond to. She sat by the window, watching people walk their dogs. A couple argued over coffee lids. A group of kids on scooters raced across the pavement. Life kept moving. And slowly, so did she. She pulled out a sketchbook, one that had sat untouched since business school. The pages were still clean. She wasn't sure what she wanted to draw. Maybe not anything at all. But the pencil in her hand felt honest. For the first time in weeks, she felt like herself. Not someone's wife, not someone's strategy, just Juliet. And for now, that was enough. The email came 3 days later. Juliet had almost missed it, buried between promotions and investor updates she no longer cared to open. It was short, from an old colleague at a tech publication. Subject line interview request, your side of the story. Body, we'd like to give you a voice. No spin, no speculation. Just you. She stared at the screen for a long time. It wasn't that she hadn't expected this. The headlines had reached their peak. Vincent's fall was being dissected across morning talk shows, Twitter threads, think pieces about ethics and betrayal in venture capital. Everyone had an opinion. Except her. She had said nothing, declined every call, deleted every question mark sent to her inbox. Harper had advised against going public. You don't owe anyone a soundbite, she said. You won, quietly. Let that be enough. But now, sitting in the soft light of early morning, Juliet wasn't sure anymore. Was silence strength, or was it still fear? Dressed prettier, she reopened the message, hovered over the reply button, and then she closed it again, not out of hesitation, but because her phone had lit up. Cass. The message was one line. He's talking. Juliet felt it in her chest before she read the attached screenshot. Vincent, sitting on a podcast couch, speaking with practiced remorse, the headline beneath the video preview. How I Lost Everything. Vincent Reed Tells All. She clicked play. He wore a soft sweater. No watch. Hair longer than usual, as if he thought looking tired would make him look honest. I made mistakes, he said, but I wasn't the only one. The interviewer leaned in. Are you saying Juliet was involved in what happened? Vincent gave a well-rehearsed sigh. I'm saying marriage is complicated. Pressure does things. People change. Juliet didn't finish the video. She didn't need to. It was enough. Not because it hurt, but because it proved what she already knew. He still needed a story, and she was still the one he wanted to rewrite. So she opened her laptop, went to the draft folder she hadn't touched in months, and began typing. Not for the press, not for the drama, but for clarity. She started with a title, The Truth in the Glass. And then she told the whole story, from the wine glass to the slack logs, from the bathroom floor to the rooftop view, from the woman who waited too long to speak, to the one who no longer had to whisper. When she finished, she didn't reread it. She just hit send. To the journalist, to Harper, to herself. She didn't care who read it first. She only cared that it was finally hers. I never planned to write this. Not to him, not even to me. But sometimes, when the noise fades and the dust settles, what's left isn't silence, it's something quieter, something clearer, something true. I used to think strength meant holding it all in, staying composed, smiling through betrayal, quietly collecting the facts, outplaying, outlasting, outmaneuvering. And I did all that. I planned, I calculated, I exposed him with precision and walked away without flinching. But the truth, that night in the hotel, I was shaking behind the curtain. That morning I filed for divorce. I cried in the hallway after the lawyer left. And when he looked at me with panic in his eyes, glass in hand, I didn't feel triumphant. I felt tired. It wasn't the fall that hurt, it was the climb to survive it. I kept thinking I needed to be colder to win, sharper, more distant. But now, sitting by my window with coffee in one hand and sunlight crawling across the hardwood floor, I realize I didn't win because I became harder. I won because I stopped pretending. Stopped pretending he loved me. Stopped pretending I was okay. Stopped pretending betrayal was something I could outrun instead of walk through. Vincent never really saw me, but I see me now. And I don't hate him. I don't miss him either. I just release him. I release the version of myself who needed his approval. I release the woman who stayed silent too long. I release the pain of trying to fix something that was never built to hold love. Because this life I'm living now, unwritten, quiet, beautifully uncertain, is finally mine. Not a reaction, not a defense, just a beginning